This is a product that Nalir developed roughly 16, 17 years ago. And it was created to sync users from on-prem AD with contacts in ConnectWise. So if we were onboarding a client, this would fill in first name, last name, email address, phone number, etc. into ConnectWise for us. It has grown quite a bit since then. It also syncs with Office 365 or Azure AD. As users get added, they auto-generate in ConnectWise. As users get removed, they become inactive in ConnectWise. In addition to contact syncing, it'll also update agreement additions that are user-based. It will also do tiered pricing options, prorating, and reporting. Our preferred sync method is Office 365 because you get a little bit more out of reporting, but in the end, it's up to you. We're going to go through and add a company. Drill down on the company, and we'll bring you to your different sync methods. We have the Office 365 or Azure AD sync. Both of these use a Microsoft Graph interface, so it doesn't matter which one it is. Anytime a change is made, Microsoft will do a callback to ConnectActive and update your ConnectWise within about 5 minutes. So it's almost real time. The AD sync is done via PowerShell script, running on the domain controller. It does a read of all the OUs, groups, and users, uploads it to ConnectActive for processing and updating your ConnectWise. This one runs daily using a task scheduler. We also have a hybrid combination in which you're syncing both from Office 365 and AD for the same account. Also, if you have any customers that have multiple Office 365 tenants, you could sync to one company in ConnectWise. We're going to choose Office 365 Azure AD, and it's going to bring us to our sync settings. Anytime a new user is added, you could have a random password, a default password, or no password set for portal access. Report failures will let you know if a sync ever fails. We have an email address associated with a service port, so it creates a ticket, but in the end, it's up to you. You could set that individually or globally. These are the global settings if a sync does fail. Report changes. This will notify you anytime a user is added or removed. Maybe you're keeping an eye on a customer for whatever reason. Maybe your billing department wants to know when users are added and removed. Either way, you can get notified, and you can set that individually or globally as well. We offer some override options. If you already have a phone number, email address, or a business title for a contact in ConnectWise, we don't overwrite anything. If there's no contact, it'll populate as a new contact. If the contact exists but has blank fields, we'll find the values in Office 365 or AD and sync them over. Or if you have an Office 365 tenant that you keep up to date and trust, you could check any and all boxes, and it'll overwrite what you have in ConnectWise. There are some additional Office 365 options on the bottom here. A lot of these are as needed or special cases. We allow filtering by group, OU, or license type. Site mapping will allow you to choose a group in Office 365 or AD, and you choose a site in ConnectWise, and it'll put everyone in that group against the site. So if you have customers with multiple locations, you could map who's at what site. Inactive contact cleanup does exactly what it says. It'll look at all your contacts for the company, and it will look to see any activity associated with tickets or configurations, and it'll give you a report as to who may be inactive. To do your first sync, you do need to grant permission, and that's just done one time. Once permission is granted, you could do your first sync, and your first sync is done manually. And it really comes down to the health of the environment you're syncing. If you have a customer that you set up from scratch, you may not need to do much. If you have a customer that you inherited that wasn't well taken care of, has stale accounts, you may come in here and see you need to do a little cleanup. Either way, your first sync will look something like this. We're going to start on line 7. We look at first name, last name, and email address. We compare what's in Office 365 with what's in ConnectWise. And in this case, we automatically matched these accounts, Blaine with Blaine, Blake with Blake, Eric with Eric, etc. The accounts down here are accounts We're not syncing as contacts. We're not reporting on. We're not updating agreement additions. These are ignored accounts. They're system, admin, vendor accounts. You could manually ignore or unignore an account. We also give you an option to put in your own keywords to auto-ignore accounts on first sync. So maybe you have a few different accounts that are the same across all your customers. You could put that in the auto-ignore, and when you do your first sync, it will ignore it. You could also put a note as to why you are ignoring an account. We're going to go up to line 1. We found Adam Burnley in Office 365 or AD. We looked in ConnectWise, and we didn't find Adam. So it wants to create Adam as a new contact. On line 2, we found Adam Burnley in ConnectWise. We looked in Office 365 or AD, and we didn't find Adam. Therefore, it wants to deactivate that contact. And in some cases, you do want to create. In some cases, you do want to deactivate. But in this case, I know Adam matches with Adam. Maybe over on this side, it's Benjamin in AD or Office 365, but we have them listed as Ben in ConnectWise, and it didn't auto-match. You could match Benjamin with Ben. Maybe you have a generic account over here called Front Desk or Warehouse, and you have a user in ConnectWise, and you want to match the generic account with a user in ConnectWise. If you have managed workstation configurations associated with the user, we will list their computer name. If you put your mouse over them, you can see all their properties, email, alias, licenses, when they were created. If you are mapping to an agreement, by default, everyone is set to auto, which means they're automatically going to be added or removed from agreements. Blaine is a field worker. We have them off. We're syncing them as a contact, but we're not updating the agreements for Blaine because he doesn't have a computer. He doesn't call us for help, but we want to sync him as a contact. Once everything is set here, you're going to proceed to the final review, where it's going to show you all the changes it wants to make before any changes are made, like which contacts it's creating, deactivating, ignoring, or matched up to, as well as the agreement additions you're syncing. And we'll look at some agreements now. We have 4 different types of mapping. Company-wide, we'll take all users and put them against one agreement addition of your choice. In this case, we have an agreement addition named Agreement Users. On the invoice, we'll list the count as well as the user's first and last name. You could manually add or exclude contacts, and you have control over all the above. If you want to do it by last name instead of first, if you want to list email addresses instead of names, you could also include changes since last invoice. And then it'll add a line on the bottom saying who was added or removed since the last time they were invoiced, so your customer can see why things changed on the invoice. So company-wide, all users against one agreement addition, whereas group mapping allows you to get more granular. You choose a group in Office 365 or AD, and you choose an agreement addition, and it'll put everyone in that group against the agreement addition. Then you could choose a different group and a different agreement addition, or the same group and a different agreement addition. You have different rates for different people, office users versus salespeople, full-time versus part-time. Maybe you have a security package that only some of the company has. You could choose a group and choose that agreement addition for the security package. Either way. We also have a office license sync, and we have it enabled. We use PAX 8, and we sync to the same agreement additions that PAX 8 syncs to. What we do differently is we'll add the user count as well as list the users, and you have all the same controls on how it's formatted and what information you do or do not want on there. Reports will show you all the users you're syncing here. We also have a license report showing you what licenses you have, how many, and who has what license. There's also a change log that shows you when licenses are added and removed, on what date, for what user, and what license. You could download these reports individually. You can come up to the top and download them all, share them with your customer as needed. In addition, we offer prorating options, and you could also create tiered pricing schedules and apply them to your customers.